Okay, so first off, I wanted to say thank you for volunteering to, be part of the Women's History Month video series. And I guess to get started, could you introduce yourself, but then also give some background of where you come scientifically and, how you got to your position today?
Yes, I am Denise Okafor. I starting this is the beginning of my third year at Penn State. I went to grad school at Georgia Tech. I performed postdoctoral research at Emory. Sorry, I should close out.
All right.
Yeah, postdoctoral research at Emory, and then I ended up here. It was at Emory that I decided that before I started my postdoc, I was pretty sure I was on my goal was to teach at a small four-year college and, maybe do research with undergrads. I didn't have any big kind of R1 related dreams or goals. But then at Emory, I just really got into the project that I was working on. I really liked it and I really liked the questions, and I decided that I had a unique perspective and that I should pursue my own lab. And that's how I ended up here. So.
Wow, I love that. Very, very awesome. So then if we take like a step back even further, what drew you to chemistry? So at Georgia Tech, were you studying chemistry? So I guess your postdoc was pharmacology, correct?
No, biochemistry.
Biochemistry. So then for your undergraduate at Georgia Tech, could you comment on, what led you to biochemistry and things of that like?
Yes. So undergrad was actually at a small school called Oral Roberts University. Grad school, Georgia Tech was grad school.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I went to, the reason that I was drawn to chemistry was it started from high school, really. I really liked chemistry in high school, and my goal was to be a doctor, right? Pre-med major. And so I learned that you could do that, as like the recommended pathways were go chemistry or go biology. It's like, oh, well, I like chemistry anyway, so I'm gonna pursue that major. And so I think I just was drawn to chemistry because I just really enjoyed the kind of the problem solving aspect and thinking about, why do reactions happen, balancing the equations. And so that just drew me in, and then it kept me, even when I did decide to switch from pre-med to grad school.
Very cool. Very cool. I feel like a lot of students that, might listen to this will probably have a similar experience. I've heard that happens quite often, and, it's always a win for team chemistry. Very cool. So along your path, were there any role models that, you can think back on that you'd like to share, with, the various members of the department, and in honor of Women's History Month? You can comment mentors that aren't women, but maybe also select one that has changed your view of how science can be done.
Yeah, so I attribute all of this honestly to my professor, my undergrad professor of organic chemistry. Her name was Dr. Lois Abelin. So I went to a small school. I think 7 or 8 faculty in the chemistry department, maybe even less. And, there's an organic professor, right, a PChem professor, analytical. Each person had their own specialty. And I didn't necessarily like organic chemistry. I hope that's not sacrilegious to say, but I think I did okay. I passed with a B, I think. But we all had to take it if you're a chemistry major, so I took it. But Dr. Abelin was also my academic advisor because it was a small school, so the professors did all these different duties. She was my academic advisor, and then during the summer of my junior year, or before the summer of my junior year, the professors in the department encouraged me to apply to an REU because they didn't have research at my school, and I just didn't even know what research. It's just a concept I'd never been introduced to, right? It was so foreign. But I applied to these REUs, and then I got accepted, and I went to University of Memphis, and I did a 10-week REU. And that was my first exposure to research, to just kind of this world. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I came back and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed it, the research process. And Dr. Abelin was like, oh, then you should go consider getting a PhD and you and I can be maybe one day you could be my colleague, is what she said. And I think just that whole one day you could be my colleague was like just a kind of this mental switch, right? Turning on like, oh, like I could be a college professor, and you think that I am, you think that I'm smart enough. I couldn't see it, right? Like I couldn't, there was just nothing that I could envision. But then when she did that, when she said that, it just helped me envision that this could actually is a thing that could actually happen. And okay, maybe I'll try and get a PhD, right? And so that I think that I feel like I owe most of it, if not all of it, to her. And just even that comment. And I don't know if she meant it to be inspirational or she just said it just to say it, but that was very, for me, it was very pivotal.
Wow,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. That's like really such like a lovely story. I feel like as you were saying it, I was like, oh, that completely makes sense. Like you didn't see it in yourself, but then someone opened your eyes to that possibility, and here you are. So that's quite amazing. Teach any class that's not in chemistry, what class would you teach?
My biggest hobby is writing, and so something about writing maybe is what I would teach.
Oh, okay.
Creative writing or
Oh, that would be nice. A good departure from what you normally have to do.
Yeah.
Along those lines, if you hadn't taken the path in chemistry, was there another career path that you had, potentially been interested in?
Yeah, so assuming I hadn't gone chemistry, which would also mean I hadn't gone pre-med either. It's funny, um, I've thought sometimes that it could be interesting to be a nurse.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like I had a friend that was a nurse, and I just really admired her, and I thought that it could be nice. But I feel like that it's funny, I used to think that, but in the past year or 2 years, just seeing what health professionals are going through with people that are not, cooperative, or people that are belligerent, or the other kinds of bad behavior, I wonder now, maybe I would not have handled it as well as I thought I would have. But assuming everything was fine and patients were generally decent people, I thought that it could be fun. The other thing would be a writer, of course. I think I would just, if I had a guarantee that someone would publish, like that wouldn't be a problem to publish things that I wrote and make a living from it. That would be so much fun to be a writer.
Who was your favorite Nobel Prize recipient of all time? So, I mean, it doesn't have to be directly in chemistry, but just someone that, sticks out either in the past or present.
I did enjoy Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier winning it, because it was women, girl power is really nice. But I think that the thing the reason that I am a faculty member is because of the ability to do molecular dynamics simulations on proteins. Like this is the thing, this is what my whole lab is about. And I would not be a professor if the only options were working in the lab, because I've never liked being in the lab. Like I only decided to go to grad school when I learned that you could do research on a computer. So I would have to give it up to Martin Karplus, who are the other two? Ariel Warshall, and I forget the third person, but they basically created, they won the prize for multi-scale modeling, which is essentially being able to do these computer simulations and molecular dynamic simulations. So
Cool.
that would be my.
Makes you most excited every day to come, to the department to do your job, as a faculty member?
The thing that motivates me or makes me most excited is the idea that I can, let me not say our group, we can contribute something new or reveal something new about the way, the systems that we're studying, the way that they work. I think that like in the past, when I've read papers, or even when I was preparing to apply to these kinds of positions, I wasn't always convinced that I could be innovative or I could come up with creative things or to research, or things that were interesting or things that were important that people would care about. But I think that now that I'm here, there was a lot of also just kind of imposterism, right, involved in that kind of thinking. And so now that I'm here, every day that I do like data analysis, because I'm actively, doing simulations and analyzing data, or I look at the data that the people in the lab generate and they share it with me, I think, oh wow, we're learning something new about the system, and this is cool. And when we finally publish this paper, this will be novel information that no one has thought about. They haven't thought about it this way. Or they didn't have this information before, and so we've advanced knowledge in something. So just this idea of making contributions that change the way we think about something, or enhance it, or enlighten,
Mhm.
us on a certain topic, that really excites me.
Mhm.
And especially because I had a lot of doubts that I just thought that people that did it were super, really, really smart. And I know that I'm okay, right? Like I'm not like a, so you just think that these people are like superheroes, and I'm like, oh, it's possible.